Hey everyone, Kevin with the Sampleist, back to talk with you about the new loop and pulse library Strike from Zero G. Zero G Strike is the third release in a series from sound designer Ergo Cook, and a creative new loop and pulse engine that lets you blend 4 layers of source loops and sequences to taste with one XY pad, and gives you a second XY pad to customize filter movements, all as one unique hybrid rhythmic instrument. If you're a trailer or media composer on the lookout for a standout new tool to infuse your high-energy cues with rhythmic tension and intensity, you'll want to take a close look at Strike. Strike's wealth of sound sources are built from live recordings blended with a variety of synth sources recorded at 32-bit 48K for a storage-friendly 1.1 gigabyte download. The library retails for $52.95 right from the Zero G website. This video will get an up-close look at the interface by building and customizing a patch before we explore some of the presets and hear a short composition followed by some closing thoughts. I want to thank Zero G for sending over a copy of Strike so we could make this video and tell you all about it. While we receive these libraries for free, it doesn't in any way cloud our thoughts, opinions, or judgments. We're just working composers trying to support the great software developers that enable us to make the music that we do. We'd also love if you give that like button a push and make sure to subscribe to our channel. Now let's jump into Strike from Zero G and see what it's all about. Let's get a closer look at the interface. We're going to open up the patch labeled Clean so we can build something in here before we take a look at some of the presets offered in the Snapshots folder that's filled with 111 curated presets of rhythmic tension for you. But we're going to start with a blank canvas first. Each of these different source layers is afforded individual volume, EQ, envelope and filter controls, and you have XY source and filter movement pads that enable you to choose to sync your source and filter movements either simultaneously or just one. You could sync them with your DAW. You can set and forget them, or you can automate their movements with external MIDI controllers, which really gives you an abundance of ways to customize all of these loops and pulses for whatever project you're working on. Looking at the middle, you could see these different menus. The one that opens is the movement menu, and that opens these XY pads here. We can edit the modulation that has 4 different LFOs. We can edit the effects, which is going to let you adjust parameters of 9 different effects modules like chorus, distortion. Your lo-fi is a bit crusher. You've got delay, control over the stereo field enhancement, filter, phaser, and a convolution reverb. And you'll need to run this in context 7 or higher. Let's load in our first loop source and check out what we get. I'm not sure what Xena Romulus sounds like, but let's find out. Okay. Let's float a second one in. And let's find some drums here. So let's load the grinder. Okay, so things are getting a little more aggressive here. And that's okay. What does Saw in Half do for us? Now, these are stretched across the keyboard, so you can hear that pitch adjust as I change the key. Let's try one more here. We'll add a 4th layer. We'll add some more drums here. Bionics. Okay. So your XY pad over here is labeled source movement. That's just going to crossfade between these 4 source layers. I can sync this with my DAW, for example. So if I turn on circular, now any of these controls here can be automated. This depth control, if you look at these circles here, this depth control is going to control where that cursor is in relation to these circles. So if I pull it in, it's going to come closer to that little cube. Now, if I want to tempo sync this with my DAW, I click this on. And now it's oscillating between all 4 of those source layers at 82 beats per minute and creating some really kind of new things with these 4 layers. I can, of course, set and forget this if I want at any point. So there are so many options just, right out of the gate. We can automate some of these with a MIDI controller. So let's check out a couple of the presets. We're going to go to the action folder. Your filter movement is controlled pretty much the exact same way as your source movements are. Here's another snapshot. Let's check out one of the sneaky snapshots. All right, for when you want to build tension without the impact. So since there's no source layers here, as we fade closer to that, they'll disappear. So I can fade horizontally between these two now if I want and not get that drop. Now this is just running according to the speed over here set by this knob. But if, again, I sync it to my DAW. So there's all kinds of ways to get creative with this. Let's check out one more. So the circular source movement, if you have the depth out, it's going to be all the way out and move along the square. And as you bring it in, it's going to come more to the circle. But the 8-bar movement is a little bit long. What if we do something a little wild, like a half-note triplet? So there's all kinds of ways that you can customize this. Some quick notes about the composition I put together using Strike. It's a rhythmically driven action tension cue. I have 6 different tracks of 0G loaded in, many functioning as the primary rhythmic elements of the piece and EQ to reflect that. But there's also a couple patches that have a melodic or harmonic function. Beyond 0G, I just have a couple pads and 2 synths loaded in, one a bass patch and the other some synth plucks. I called this piece Gemini Tricks, and I hope you'll like it. There are some rad sounds happening inside of Strike, and they really blend nicely into synth and hybrid settings. If you're looking for a new tool to infuse rhythmic intensity and aggression into your hybrid cues, 0G's Strike is an affordable place to start that will give you loads of options for customization to bring that extra layer of intrigue to your music. I want to thank 0G once again for sending over a copy of Strike so we can make this video and tell you all about it. If you have any lingering questions, please feel free to check out 0G's walkthrough. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to our channel so you can keep in the loop about great digital instruments and plugins like this one. I'm Kevin with the Sampleist, and I'll see you again soon.